The following video is useless. Don't watch it. It's about someone trying to keep an idiot busy, and I'm the idiot. It's a set of tactics done by people who are basically go on the internet and pick arguments with people and antagonize them for attention-seeking behavior or for the pure pleasure of wasting someone's time. That's why you shouldn't watch the video. We're going to be talking about the aggravating and deliberately borderline sociopath group of people called sovereign citizens, partially, but that's not really the point. We're going to bring up a couple of statements. What is the legal definition of a particular word? Okay, I'm going to cut to the chase. The definitions in law books for certain words are based on either A, the standard dictionary version of the word, B, because it's a legal dictionary, how it's most often misused, and next, how it's most often used for it being part of a statement used in a legal document. If you're not aware of it, laws have been written for a long time, not in some secret language, but in a language that's designed to be very, very specific, but it gets to the point that it becomes useless. Anything rigorous is meaningless, is an expression that I was taught when I was younger. Excessive amount of rigorous formatting of things makes things almost impossible to understand if you push it too far. This brings up the idea of using Latin or other sorts of language types and arrangements and syntaxes and grammar to try to make either the legal system very obscure so you can have this closed universe so that lawyers can make money, or B, they're trying to make it to where you can't misinterpret a law, which is obviously part of the game people play when they show up in court. And so do lawyers, judges, and your senator and legislators and representatives. Don't believe me? Watch C-SPAN. If you want to really get an example of it, watch Parliament. It's like a hockey game broke out. The legal definitions for words very often are based on the presumption that you're not looking up the real definition used in ordinary communication. But in the United States and many other countries, the legal system has been compelled, mostly because we the people have been forcing the issue, that they put the laws in ordinary English so ordinary people can show up in court and actually defend themselves, not requiring expensive law firms, because of the presumption that maybe, just maybe, it is a closed ecosystem and they're trying to make money off of us by making extra busy work for us. The legal definition for words, let's bring up two of them. Syntax and understand. Now, I'm not going to use the legal definition for syntax. We're going to use the real-world definition and then simply say why we're using it. The definition for syntax is how you arrange words and phrases to create sentences in a language that are well-formed and are easy to understand or are understood at the time easiest. Now, you might have noticed I used the word understand in a definition. This is where we can create a continuous loop if we chose to muck up the proceedings by saying, well, give me the definition of literally every word in that sentence or that definition. At which point, we have part of the rules that have been established over the years. We're using the language I'm speaking and you're speaking. Are we going under a presumption you don't understand what I'm saying? Yes, I've used the word understand. The word understand is so critical and so basic to communication that mucking that up is a goal for someone trying to just fuck with you and the legal system. The point of a lawsuit is not to win, it's to harass some dumb fuck who started a religion almost on a bet because he wanted to get rich. So what's the legal definition of understand? Is to understand to agree? There are multiple different definitions. The most popular, common one, and then you get to ones that are much, much more obscure. There are some words you can look up in a dictionary, a sufficiently old style, but new definition set type dictionary that will include archaic definitions for the words that you're using. The word hacker, if you look up the older definitions, meant at one time, and this is kind of apocrypha, a carpenter that makes furniture only using one tool, usually an axe. You might have seen these really cheap-looking things in the old days that were made expertly by someone who can use just an axe and picking the right branches to make a chair or table. Those were hackers, because they hacked away at stuff until it was a completed item. It would work, and you might imagine, would be of obscenely good quality in some cases. That's up to the user. But they would do it not with the proper tools for the proper job. They would do it with whatever tool they could get their hands on. A pocket knife, anything. Also called whittlers. And many other names. But that's not the common definition these days. Just like the word geek originally meant somebody who bit the head off chickens. The hacker joke is, then they would serve them to you. Let's move on. What are we agreeing to if understand must be to agree? Why are you presuming it has to be? It's a contract. So the word understand means contract, because you've decided to do this, I'm going to call irrationalization and progress of statements. Your opinion obviously doesn't syntax with people. The sentence makes no sense unless you're using a very obscure version of syntax, or the not common used one. Now, what's the legal definition for syntax? I'm not including it. That's a exercise for the user. Down below, you'll find a couple of links. One of them says thelawdictionary.org / and then type in your word with a slash afterwards. Syntax, understand, understanding, man, cow. Any word you want to. And that automatically generated dictionary will try to give you the correct answer. Or it'll fudge it. Hey, if you can find one reference out of a billion that supports your belief system, you're free to use it. But I'm going to bring up a billion references that say you're wrong, or just say the majority of references show that you are bringing up an obscure and incorrect reference. Let's move on. Understand is and was to stand in the midst of. Under refers to being in the midst. In that sense, in a narrow version of how that word was used sometimes. One of the many definitions for under was to be in the midst of, which doesn't make any sense. But being in the midst of standing. What is your standing? See, the word can have lots of different meanings depending on context. But let's remove context and ignore its actual dictionary meaning or legal definition, because we want to have an argument on the internet. Again, this is about keeping an idiot busy. Understand also meant to know. The word under from Old English was for the words between or among in modern English. And the Greek entra and the Latin inter were between, among, like interstanding, literally to stand in the midst of. This is like interstate versus intrastate. And intrastate. The pronunciation, or pronunciation as I like to say, would change its meanings heavily. The other meaning for it, and this is actually a long drawn out one, direct exposure to the reality of something. It's not meant for standing underneath something. Understand only becomes to stand under if you're doing a kind of a tongue-in-cheek or mocking or poetic sense for it meaning that. It does not mean you're underneath something standing, or that your standing is below someone. These are deliberate misinterpretations that, well, people will scream on the internet, well, give me a legal definition. Then they say, well, you got the wrong one. Now, if you were to, again, how to waste an idiot's time, useful or not, you're the idiot at this point. How many law dictionaries are there, and how many of them auto-generate shit as best they can? How many of them are AI versions where they have extra thumbs? A lot of them these days. How many people refer to Black's Law Dictionary? Black's Law Dictionary, the version they're bringing up, is antiquated. It's outdated. That's it. And then they'll scream at you. No, it's literally not used anymore. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to use an older version of Black's Law Dictionary except for historical purposes. Why? Because it uses old meanings in common usage in the English language or in other languages in the definition explanation, which means it's completely out of date and makes you get the wrong idea because it wasn't meant to mean that. Hence, hacker and geek have different meanings because we don't use those meanings anymore. Yeah, but no, we're not having that conversation. Remember, you're keeping an idiot busy. I'm the one doing a long diatribe on this. Defined in the law as an isolated word, you can find that understand is to comprehend, to know, or be aware of, to have knowledge of, if only based on the word's documented real-world history. Understanding, however, can have a special meaning if you choose to apply it within a legal document. Understanding can be made to refer to an interpretation of something. Thus, words like understanding or understand may denote an informal agreement and or a concurrence to the terms of said agreement within any contract or law, or the law which includes a definition. Reusing a word or term only if explaining what it will constitute, that it will constitute something which they intend to be bound to, only within said work. Now, this is what you can look up case law where someone has decided the word child refers to a sub-process within a computer program because they're called child processes or daughter processes. Yeah, that's actually a thing. The word has more than one fucking meaning. Oh, poe-tic's getting angry. Again, the whole point of this is to keep an idiot busy, aggravate people, heckle people over the internet, and feel power because you got a tiny dick. You got problems. I'm going to give examples of this that don't include the word understand. We're going to do this one. In the context of a trademark filing, face punch is used as a company name, not as a violent command. Face punch. In the context of a trademark, Apple is used as a company name. We're not falsely advertising that we're doing Apple sales. We're not an edible object. Apple Computers is called Apple Computers because Apple Music is like a Paul McCartney thing or something. See also, in the context of a trademark application, I might file capital U under, capital S stand, as one word, understand, or with a hyphen, to signify an underlimb hung, hunting, tree stand. Here's your understand. You hang it from a tree limb and get onto it and then strap it to the body of the tree. Because it acts as, instead of it being biting into the tree, it's hanging from a limb, you're underneath it, you're up in your tree stand with your rifle hunting deer, and you strap yourself in. I just made that up on the spot, but that would be an example of a trademark. That doesn't mean that I have changed the word understand for every fucking law out there to mean something about hunting deer. Within the context of this work, we will reuse this word for completely unrelated meaning. That doesn't change the meaning of the word all over the place. That's why an understanding can be a common terminology people used for a contract, an informal one in most cases, but not always. That doesn't mean the word understand only means contract. That's somebody arguing based on looking up a narrow definition so they can keep typing shit in your comment section. In the context of a trademark application I might file, understand can have these meanings. But it's not a word with an established real-world meaning for comprehension. Understand means comprende. Understand can mean to stand under, but that's only if you're doing mocking, poetic, or tongue-in-cheek references. A dad joke. If I make a dad joke, it doesn't change the word's meaning. Now, this last 14 minutes of your life and mine have been wasted by someone who simply typed in, understand means to stand under. It's all about a contract. Am I free to go? I do not consent. These are trolls. Real life and internet-only based people who do this because they're like a heckler who gets off on conflict. Nothing less, nothing more. They have no respect and should not get any. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.